What's up, guys? Busy day today. I've already been up early, been out for a run, taking the dogs out with me. It was pitch black. That's the problem with this time of year. It's pitch black in the mornings now at that time. I'm even thinking about considering wearing one of those stupid head torches. Anyway, that's another story. So I've done that, taken the kids to school. It's now coffee o'clock. And I've got lots of other things to do. I've got about 100 emails to write. I've got flights and hire cars to book for next week. I've got taxis to book for tomorrow. I've got to get out into town and pick up some stuff that I need, get some business cards printed. I mean, all sorts of things. Got to try and get my laptop fixed. So many things. I'm never going to get them all done today. Going to try and start working through the list. But there are a couple of things that I want to talk about today. One of them is this. You may have seen this across social media today. Announced early this morning. This is the W Series, a brand new single-seater championship exclusively for women. And I've already had a number of tweets and messages on Instagram asking what I think of it, what my thoughts are. Do I agree with it? Do I think it's discriminatory? I mean, so many different opinions, and I've actually read a number of other opinions of other people that have commented online. It seems to split opinion, this. So here's my two pennies worth. I think it's a good thing, and the reason I say it's a good thing is because we have a problem in motorsport, and that problem is that there are not enough females getting involved in the sport as a whole, and that's from ground up, you know, ground level, grassroots level, if you like. Just enough, there aren't enough girls taking up karting if you compare that to the number of boys that take up karting at a young age. So that's one of the primary reasons we don't have enough top level female talent at the higher echelons of motorsport and heading towards Formula One. So of course that needs to be addressed. That's another thing that needs to be addressed. Having a series like this, though, puts females in motorsport on a platform. It puts them front and centre. It gives them a platform to be celebrated, to compete, and you know, it's going to get some coverage, this. So that, in my view, is why this is a good thing. It's giving women and females a platform to compete in motorsport at a high level. I mean, this is a Formula 3 car. It's going to be quick. It should be competitive because all the cars are the same. In theory, the racing should be great. And if we can develop talent through it, and if we can bring in some top level female talent through a series like this, and then forward them on to other bigger things, and you know, maybe GP2 and heading towards Formula 1 that way, then it's got to be a good thing. You know, this is not something that is setting out to eventually compete against Formula 1, and it shouldn't be that we're seeing a split of women in one side of motorsport and men on the other. But what this is perhaps a starting point to creating an opportunity for more women to get involved in the sport in the first place. And you know, it's a stepping stone, it's a platform. And once they have developed their talents, once they've shown the world what they can do, well then why can't the GP2 teams and the GP3 teams and even the Formula 1 teams, sorry, F2, F1 and GP3, why can't they then start looking at the W Series in a couple of years' time, picking out some top class talent from there and putting them into their own organisations? So for me, big thumbs up, W Series. I hope it goes very well. I'll be following it, but let me know what you think. The other thing I want to talk about, I haven't got time to do this right now because I've got to shoot out, but relates to this question that somebody asked me on Twitter the other day. And I'm not going to babble on about Formula E because I know, you know, not everybody's into that, but I'm going to use that question as the basis for what I'm going to talk about for the rest of this video. Have a look at this. So the actual answer to that question is, in very broad terms, is a simple one. So everything on a Formula E car, more or less, from the battery forwards, is standard and is spec across everybody's car. So the chassis is the same, the battery's the same, the front suspension, steering, front brakes, all of those kind of things are all the same. It's everything behind the battery. So the electric drivetrain, the motors, the power inverters, the control electronics, the gearbox and rear suspension. This year we've got the brake-by-wire system. That is all something that the teams have the capability to design and develop themselves. And that's where that development competition occurs in Formula E. Now, that's not really what I wanted to talk about, but I'm answering your question very roughly. What I really wanted to talk about off the back of that was, what other lessons can we learn from that? Particularly, what can Formula One learn from that? And this is going to be a controversial subject. I know lots of you are going to totally disagree with me. I'm fully prepared for that. But one of the reasons that the racing in Formula E is so good, and it is very good, no matter what you think of Formula E as a concept, the racing itself is brilliant. It's close. It's everything that Formula One is desperate to try and achieve with their cars. And a big part of that is that in Formula E, the aerodynamic surfaces are all set and are all common across all cars. And they're also not really that efficient, because they don't need to be. They're not looking for an aerodynamic-based championship. They're looking to create a championship that's based all around the electric drivetrain, because that's the technology that's going to be most beneficial to the wider world, and certainly the technology that, if we can develop it rapidly through Formula E, that's the one that's going to, accelerate the uptake and the development of that technology in our road cars. What can Formula One learn from that?
From all the biggest artists, like some leeches, so they nominate them, get them there, get a name to MC to show every parasite needs a host.
Now, if I'd asked myself that very question just 2 or 3 years ago, I'd have probably said that Formula One was too arrogant to learn anything from any other motorsport championship, let alone a cheeky young upstart of a championship like Formula E. Ever since I've been involved in Formula One, which is nearly 20 years now, the thinking has been that everybody else learns from us in Formula One. We don't learn from other people. And that's been the thinking with teams, and it's been the thinking with Formula One management itself. Well, I now start to think that might be changing just a little bit. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I need some business cards printing.
Okay.
Right, well, that's that bit sorted. Now to see if I can get my laptop fixed in a hurry. Right, so what can Formula One learn from Formula E? Well, listen, I think the reason I'm saying that I think that's changed, I think because Liberty have come in and started to change the way they do things. And lots of the things that Liberty are doing, particularly around digital media and media in general, and lots of the ways, fan engagement, that kind of stuff, are all things that Formula E have actually been doing right since the very beginning. So they are changing, they're changing the way that they do things. And if you want to look at the aerodynamics, this is why we got onto this subject in the first place, aerodynamics is one of the things that Formula One spends most money on, most time on over the years. It's one of the things where the biggest area of development happens at every single team. And yet, it's also our biggest problem, isn't it? It's the reason that cars can't follow each other, and therefore one of the reasons we can't have the close racing that we all desire. The close racing that we have in Formula E. Now, it's no coincidence that the aerodynamics on a Formula E car are incredibly simple and straightforward and standard across the field, and the cars can follow each other nose to tail and race each other hard and close all the way to the end. The differences between the cars are not based around aerodynamic updates, they are based around the technical advances they're all making in electric drivetrain. So, can Formula One ever go to a standard set of aerodynamics? Controversial question. Right, this is all going very well. The laptop shop say they can repair my laptop within a day, which is brilliant, because Apple, by the way, how weird is this? Apple, if you want your battery replacing on a MacBook Pro, need your laptop for 5 days. How can that be? The actual job itself probably takes about an hour and a half. I can't live without my laptop for 5 days. Anyway, this place will do it in a day, which is great. Right, back to F1 aerodynamics. Why can't F1 go to a standard set of aerodynamics? Not right now, but at some point in the future. I know it's radical, I know it's controversial, and I know lots of people hate the idea, but why not? Now, I know there's arguments about the size of aerodynamic departments in Formula 1 teams and all the people, so I know it can't be a quick change. What's to say you can't, in the next Concord Agreement, maybe 10 years from now, say that that's what's going to happen? We can repurpose all the people and resources in a Formula 1 team. The thing is, the reason we all think that's a horrific idea and couldn't possibly work is because that's just what we're used to. We're used to the DNA of Formula 1 being all about aerodynamic development. It doesn't have to be that way forever, though. Now, before we go any further, I am well aware that aerodynamics is not the sole reason that Formula E cars are able to race closely with each other. There's far more to it than that. The type of circuits, the length of the race, and the nature of the cars as well. But it's undeniable that the fact that Formula E cars are heavily reliant on mechanical grip, of which there still isn't very much, far more so than aerodynamic grip, and that allows us to have cars running very, very closely to each other without being trapped, if you like, or held off by that disruptive, turbulent wake with all the spinning vortices spinning off the car in front that hampers us so much, that we all know so much about now in Formula 1. Aerodynamics is this invisible black art. People at home watching a Grand Prix can't see the effects of aerodynamics. It's invisible. And that means that it's very hard for people to grasp the concept of. It's very difficult to see exactly what the aerodynamics are doing on a Formula 1 car. So why can't we just move away from that and focus on the things that people do understand, the things that people can see tangibly, can kind of feel and understand, and the kind of things that they're all driving around using those kind of technologies in their road cars that they know have come from the Formula E world. We have this saying that's been used for years in Formula 1, which says if you stand still, you get left behind. And it's absolutely true. You know, we have to evolve. And that's the same in life. We as individuals, as humans, have to evolve, don't we? We have to evolve our own lives. Because if we don't, we stay the same. And I've said this before on this channel. If we don't evolve, we stay the same, and we do get left behind because everyone else will be evolving. The most successful people in this world are the ones who evolve at the fastest rate, the ones who are ahead of the curve constantly, always looking for new ideas, new ways of doing things. The thing with that, though, is not easy. It's not the easiest path through life. It involves making some difficult decisions, going against the grain, potentially upsetting people at first. The people who don't necessarily buy into that train of thought. But that's what you've got to do sometimes to be successful. Formula E came into this motorsport world and rewrote the rulebook. I was there when Formula E first launched in Beijing. I went directly from an F1 Grand Prix to Beijing for the first Formula E race, then directly back to Formula 1 for the next Grand Prix. And the response in the paddock, people laughed at me. People laughed at Formula E. They thought it was ridiculous. They thought it was Mickey Mouse. And I know that some of you will still think that way. That's absolutely fine. But I tell you who is not laughing at them anymore, and that is the big players of Formula 1, the manufacturers of this sport, who are now piling into Formula E at an alarming rate. So they have done things differently. They have changed the way people think, certainly the way brands think about interacting and getting involved in motorsport. And I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think Formula 1, in its latest form under the leadership of Liberty Media, should be open enough, should be bold enough and proud enough, or not too proud rather, to open their minds to new ideas and new ways of thinking. And I think the Formula 1 fan base equally has to allow them to do that. They won't like it at first, lots of people won't like it, but if you look back over history, that's the way lots of things have started, and in the end, perhaps some of them have worked out okay. The very concept of modern Formula 1 aerodynamic engineering is all about minute detail, isn't it? It's about maximising the absolute performance of the airflow around the car, channeling it, diverting it, controlling it to forensic levels. And you can peg them back by simplifying the rules and minimising the number of flick-ups and flips and flaps they can all put on. But all that does is shift the focus of that aerodynamicist or that group of aerodynamicists into the new area of regs that they have got available to them. So they're never going to stop looking at that level of detail, trying to maximise everything to those incredibly tight and minute levels. That's never going to change because it's something that's been learnt and can't be unlearnt. So what do modern aerodynamics do for us as a fan watching the sport? Well, I'll tell you the main thing they do for us is actually cause us a massive problem because it prevents us getting the racing, the core product of Formula One. It prevents us getting that right, and that is what everybody around Formula One wants to see most of all. And all we keep doing is putting band-aids on it to patch up over the problem. Or maybe, just maybe, perhaps it's time to reset the problem, to take away the problem, in fact. You know, focus the team's energies and that incredible innovative resource that they have, focus it on other areas of a Formula One car and bring back the core product, the great racing that we all want to see. Let me know what you think. See you tomorrow.